Go. Welcome back to The Banished. Former hero lives as he pleases. Anime review, episode number 5. We're here reviewing the last 4 episodes released for this series. Well, unless, of course, there's season 2. And given what I saw for the ending of the 12th episode, it did leave a possible opening. It's not a definitive opening, not like in the case of a lot of the other ones, that we could potentially see him. This one's a maybe, but it does kind of wraps up nice little bow-ish. We'll get back to it. Excuse me. So, in these 4 episodes, well, the whole thing with the elves, where the one elf was basically called by Lezelet, which involves basically a guy named Ord somehow finding where the elf village is, Alan battling him, defeating him, and instead of the man going to jail, the man gets pardoned. I'm like, this guy is a terrible person. You release him? Just because you want to take down somebody? So, yeah, after taking him on, of course. Then Harriet gets herself arrested. Possibly named as the person who killed the Emperor. Despite the fact that what actually happened is kind of weird. It's revealed this in the last episode. What the heck is going on here? So, after she is arrested, we have this guy named Curtis show up, which at first we reveal his actual last name is assumed last name, which is the same name as hers. Oh, this is her little brother, despite the fact she pointed herself that she's an only child. We later find out that he's from one of the lower branch families of the Lavada family. So they try to go to the capital. Of course, he informs them basically that, and they get to town, of course, and then the inn they're in basically gets attacked by Oswald, and then, of course, he's defeated. And instead of, having Lieslet, because she probably had the right to execute him, because the fact that he pretty much blew up a frickin' inn, hurt a lot of people, kill him. But says, the top brass basically was their decision to release him and then kill him with this weird black energy thing. Where the thing comes from is not revealed in the last episode. So then they arrive at the capital, but they can't enter in without travel permit. Interesting. So how do they get in? The underground tunnels. Now, not surprising, the fact that there is one. They also had this in Heritage Town for some reason, though in the case that looked like a freaking sewer. This looked like underground tunnels that presumably that the royal family presumably uses, but they're not here, presumably. And of course, Alan fights Lisa Lynn. Of course, everybody has to flee, and then the fight is called to a draw. Well, basically, he had to stop the fight because they're nearly buried alive by the freaking rubble, and everything seems fine, and then for some weird reason, the anime kind of almost spoils who's behind all this by having Curtis, where Al may have died. Curtis puts up a half smile, and then there's Alan, perfectly fine. And then, of course, basically, Mr. Harlow's in a room, of course, get a book. And she's like, no, I don't want to be saved. So they all leave. And then she's taken to a dungeon where we reveal who the heck is responsible for all the stuff going on in the last 2 episodes. Who killed the royal family, who killed the emperor. It was Curtis. And she's like, there is no way possible you're the one behind all this. You're an idiot. And it's like, who's really behind this? And he's like, no, I really am. She doesn't buy it. And apparently, so it's revealed that he worked with a demon, which that contradicts how demons were created. This looks like a normal demon, where basically He wanted to marry into the main family because he was in love with Harrietta. So what does the demon do? Chop off the Emperor's head. Just like that, completely with no warning. And, well, what happened to the royal family? Apparently they fled. According to Curtis, apparently they'd rather spend more time in their castle than being actual rulers. I don't know exactly what happened, because basically they don't bother to explain it. Like, did they flee? Nothing. We know nothing about the Emperor aside from the fact he frickin' died. And who frickin' killed him was a frickin' demon who gave us power. Then Curtis goes out of control. Alan shows up because it seems like Lisa probably did want Alan to save her. And, well, yeah, he ends up battling his cousin, which she kind of turns down his feelings because he has a strong desire to marry her because apparently he was in love with her. And she's like, I apologize, Curtis, I can never return your feelings. And he's like, screw you, I'm gonna kill you all. And then Alan kills him. After having a brief conversation, they could have basically just excised the demon. Nope, he had to die. And then they put out a cover story where she was executed, and the whole truth behind the Emperor assassination basically was kept in darkness for reasons. And then we see Harrietta in basically the carriage that, well, they basically traveled before, and like, oh, it was like, oh, touch her, and it's very heavily implied that not only Noelle has got a thing for Alan, Henrietta has got a thing for Alan, even, of course, Lisa, obviously. It's implied that 3 different women, and even possibly the Amazoness, even she's got a thing for him. And apparently the knight who was working, it was his knight working with him, apparently it was one named Castile, which, that was a knight, apparently, like, oh, you betrayed the country. He's like, no. You did. When you killed the Emperor. And Alan pointed out to him before he died, like, once you get the throne, what are you going to do? He apparently didn't think that through. I'm like, wow, what a terrible villain he is. It's like, okay, so he had one thing, marry his cousin. Okay? And become emperor. Okay? Then what? At least in the case of the first half of this, basically the villain plan was kind of thought out. And he hated the gods because of what happened with his wife, which happens to be Alan's father. Oh, by the way, what happened with Brett, it's like not really explained. I think I read somewhere that he did actually die. But as for what they show here, it's like, it's presumed Alan killed him, but it's not really confirmed. He could have survived. He could just probably be knocked unconscious. But don't say anything about it. Does end on a very happy note, but I'm kind of like watching the second half of this. I love the animation, love all the performances here. Like, I agree with Alan. Like, what exactly was your plan, dude? So, kill the Emperor, marry your hot cousin. It's like he didn't think stuff through it. I do not blame, basically, Studio Dean for this. I'm going to get the partial blame to this to the original writer, who probably didn't think this through, because this is a very sloppy arc. It felt as though we had several different things going on here. And that demon show up in that last episode, that contradicted the explanation how demons were created. It's like, this looks like a regular demon. Instead of using, like, manifesting, that just contradicts the whole thing to elves. That is just dropped. Like, is that really wrapped up? Not really. It felt as though that was left open. And it's like, okay, we're going to travel for a bit, say goodbye. But I kind of felt as though watching these last 2 episodes, like, by the end of this, has the series really wrapped up all the plot threads? In actuality, no. Like, take for instance the fact Alan was once engaged to Lisa. That's briefly mentioned, and the fact she's in charge of a duchy. It's presumed by the end of it she does return to it, but we don't see it per se. But it's kind of a very interesting series, but here's the thing. The first half was really good. I liked the first half. Good. It was an interesting mystery. I mean, you try to figure out exactly the motivation behind why Craig... Like, first he says he hates the royal bloodline. And then that was dropped. They kept the whole gods thing, but they dropped the bloodline thing for some reason. Like, why hate the royal family? Which, I thought that was a complete mystery with the whole thing of the bloodline. Also, the whole thing of, like, Alan being a reincarnated hero. Okay, they bring that up in the first episode, and I think they kind of they bring it up maybe a couple more times after that. It's like you watch the whole show, a lot of the time you forget the fact he's a reincarnation. Yeah. It's like the anime completely forgets that backstory. Or the fact that Harrietta was one who reincarnated him in the first place. And it's definitely shown with the last episode she has feelings for him too. Like Lisa does. Noelle definitely does. Meryl possibly does, but she probably just like sleep alongside of it. Probably doesn't desire to, be with him romantically. It's not really very clear with that. Silas is with them. Yes, he presumably is going back to Duchy. Now, here's kind of the weird thing. Lisa was put in charge of the Duchy, and I am presuming she took over Alan's house. As for if that was the same house that he used to live in, I would kind of say yes, but they never hired any servants and just had Beatrice run the place. I kind of felt as though, finished watching this, that, okay, let's stop basically the plot threads. Basically, the series did not finish up with its last episode. The elves. Yes, you watch these episodes when they introduce them. It's like there's a big plot idea with this one, and it remains unfinished. It's like they're shoved aside after a couple episodes. I like the fact Noelle got a chance to get some development, of course, these episodes, which is fine. Like, apparently she's part of the Elben royal family. Okay. Like, how? Because of her eyes? What happened in the previous one? That was a big plot thread there. Akira, the other hero. She popped up in what? A few episodes? I kind of felt as though she and Sarah probably had a lot more story with them, but that was never concluded. It just basically had them leave the show halfway through it. You're like, okay, Lisa run the Duchy. That is a potential storyline right there. I mean, there's a whole bunch of plot ideas with that, but they left them resolved. What else? Oh, here's one. What the heck happens to the royal family? Like, who is actually running the empire? The emperor's dead. Did he have any children? Don't know. It's like that plot thread basically was not wrapped up by the time this one wrapped. Right on this last episode here. Let's see what else. Marielle, for example. Could there be a possibility that there could have been more survivors after Homeland was destroyed by a demon? And also, the whole thing with the gifts thing, it's like it was there as a major plot device throughout the first half of the show, and then it's never mentioned again. It's like, it felt as though you watched this season here. It felt like watching two different shows with this one. That's what I kind of felt like with this. Excuse me. And speaking of demons, I kind of feel as though they're very inconsistent. It's like we have this weird shaped demon, and then we go, oh, demons are actually manifestation of human fears. And then we show an actual demon again in the final episode. It's like very inconsistent here. Now, do I blame... like I said, I don't blame D2D for this. It's not their fault with this. They're probably just adapting what they're told to adapt. So, not their fault. Do not blame Dean for this. Do not blame the voice actors or the writing for the show. Blame the original writer. It's his fault for how confusing the second half of the season was. Was there any of your plot threads left hanging? Not exactly a plot thread, just a curious question. What happened to Alan's house? That's a presumed good question, because it's like after the first half of the show, we don't really see it again. It's presumed that the house Lisa bought. Also, does she have any siblings? Because if she was the first princess, didn't that technically mean she was supposed to be the heir to the throne? And Alan basically passed on the title that was legally his, given the fact he was the eldest son. Yeah, he may have cast off because his father was a dick. And that was actually true to the research material. I do remember seeing that, but I'm like, couldn't he just take it anyways because legally it is his? Because, and by the way, he never takes that last name. Lisa does for some reason. Alan just refers himself simply as Alan. He does not take the family last name for some reason. And I think Lisa took it because he wanted to take care of Dutchie. And also the whole idea of him being an adventurer, that I thought was interesting. It's like it's like there's so much story potential with this, but by the time you finish up watching the season, that you kind of feel as though that this season should have been longer than 12 episodes, because there was so much stuff hanging. Like, and a lot of the air shows, I could potentially see it because I was reading the manga for some of them. Like, Am I Actually Strongest in Black Summoner? Black Summoner had a bunch of stories they could adapt. I love Black Summoner. That was awesome. Do I regret getting this series? No, because I enjoyed watching it. It's just my biggest criticism of this show is the second half of the show. Second half of the season is very inconsistent. If they bring the show back, I don't think they'll ignore the second half per se. I think there's that more of the source material. Okay, and also, if you're really curious, I only had read like the first 5 volumes. I think I read how many chapters? It was like 30 chapters, I think it was. And can you believe this only aired just last year? Yeah, just last year. Now, I read the first 5 volumes, and I read the first 24 chapters. The reason for that is because, well, the reason why that I just didn't read any further. Would I read more? Yes, I definitely would. I think that I would read it more just to continue the story. At least the case some of them. Basically, I read the whole thing before I started watching the anime. This one I'm actually almost finished with, which I'm going to review later. So, the next show I'm going to be getting into is going to be the penultimate anime I'm going to watch before I had to watch Demon. Not going to stop watching anime. That's not what's happened here. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to watch 2 more binge watching seasons, and then head back to Giban to finish that show working some Super Sentai. Which, would I do this again during my next break from a show? Oh, heck yes. Because I enjoyed going through a lot of these shows, because in the past 3 weeks, in about 3 weeks, since I went on break from Giban, I have basically start watching mostly 10 anime. Which you're thinking, that's a lot. And it is. And basically I'll get to probably 11. I mean, the only ones I have watched that are currently on the air right now, 3 of whom are still airing. Scooped Up and S-Wing Adventure, The Shy Hero and the Assassin Princesses, and New Saga. Mostly everything else is basically all concluded. Yeah. Unlike last time where it was a few anime, this one's been a lot. And the main reason why I've gone through a lot more than I did my last break is mainly because I've been reading the manga. Now, there's nothing wrong with reading the light novels. It takes a while to get to the light novels. That's the thing. I have nothing against reading them. I've read almost 800 light novels in the past 8 years. Almost 800, which is a lot for a single person to read. And I figured, though, I think it'd be a lot quicker when I get into these anime to read the manga first, which is what I've been doing. And there's a website basically allows you to read a whole volume in a very short period of time, read all the dialogue. Now, the next anime I'm getting into is going to be very interesting because they're airing the 2nd season really soon, in just a few months. So I figured, though, why not check it out? And that'll be the anime to check out next. There will also be a stream happening tonight at 8 o'clock. And it's going to last a few hours. I'm sorry, basically, this is going on for over 20 minutes, but I had to basically list some of my problems with the Banished former hero who lives as he pleases. But it's, like I said, final thoughts. Not a bad show. It's just inconsistent. And it's not with the characters. They're consistently written. It's the main plot is inconsistent. That's the problem with the show. Well, the first half was pretty consistent. It's the second half of the show that's the problem. Because it's we don't know what a demon looks like. We don't explain the elves thing. It's like I said, so much stuff here. So, I should end it here because I've been talking for almost 24 minutes on these 4 episodes alone of my issues with the season. So, the next time is basically another isekai show that, well, it's going to be quite interesting, this one. Yep. So, I'll see you in the next video.